My dear child, come a little closer today and listen with your whole heart, because what I am about to say is a conversation that your soul has been waiting for. You have been carrying something heavy for a long time now, haven't you? There is a tiredness in you that sleep cannot fix. There is a confusion in your mind that no amount of thinking seems to clear. There is a longing deep inside your chest, a quiet ache that whispers to you in the still moments of the night, telling you that there has to be more to this life than what you are currently experiencing. And I want you to know today with absolute certainty that you are right. There is more, so much more. And I have been waiting with all the patience and all the love in the universe for this very moment when you would slow down long enough to hear my voice. You are not here by accident. You did not stumble onto this message by chance. I arranged this moment for you. I saw your morning today. I saw how you woke up, and the weight of your worries was already sitting on your chest before your feet even touched the floor. I saw the questions running through your mind, the uncertainty about your future, the frustration about your present, and the pain from your past that just refuses to fully go away. I saw all of it, and instead of looking away, I leaned in closer, because that is what I do. I do not run from your mess. I run toward it. I do not turn my face from your weakness. I cup your face in my hands and I say, my child, I am here and I am not going anywhere. So let us begin this journey together today. Let us walk through the corridors of your heart, one by one, shine a light into every dark corner, and let me show you the way forward, not the world's way. Not the way that looks impressive on the outside but leaves you empty on the inside, but my way. The way that leads to a life so full of peace and purpose that people around you will not be able to explain it. They will just see it on your face and in your steps, and they will want what you have. That is the life I have planned for you, and it starts right here, right now, in this moment. Let us talk first about the fog. You know exactly what I mean when I say fog. It is that thick, gray, suffocating feeling of not knowing which way to turn. You have a decision to make, maybe several, and every time you try to think it through, your mind just gets more tangled. People around you are giving you advice, pulling you in different directions, and all their voices are piling on top of each other until the noise is unbearable. And in the middle of all that noise, you cannot hear me. That is exactly what the enemy wants. He is not creative. He has been using the same trick since the beginning of time, and the trick is simply this: make as much noise as possible so that my children cannot hear the voice of their father. He knows that if you ever truly hear me clearly, his game is over. So he floods your life with confusion, with urgency, with pressure, with opinions, with fears, all designed to drown out my still small voice. But here is what I need you to understand today. I am not the author of confusion. Let me say that again so it settles deeply into your spirit. I am not the one making your life feel chaotic and overwhelming. That frantic, spinning, dizzy feeling you carry around, that is not my hand at work. When I lead you, there is a peace that comes with it. Even when the path is difficult, even when I ask you to do something that stretches your faith and challenges your comfort, there is still a settled, quiet knowing underneath it all that says, this is right. This is the way. Keep walking. If you do not have that peace, if you only have panic and pressure, then you need to stop and wait for me to speak before you take another step. I am commanding you today to find the secret place. Every single day you need to find a moment, even if it is just 15 minutes, where you step away from the noise of the world and you come into my presence. Turn off the television, put down your phone, close the door, and just be still. Be still and know that I am God. Those words are not just poetry. They are a divine instruction. The stillness is not passive. It is one of the most powerful things you can do. Because in the stillness, I can finally reach you. In the stillness, the fog begins to lift. In the stillness, the confusion starts to untangle, and what was complicated and impossible to figure out on your own suddenly becomes clear as a bright morning. I am also calling you to the power of fasting. Now, do not let that word intimidate you. Fasting simply means choosing to say no to something your body or your flesh wants so that your spirit can become more sensitive to my voice. When you fast, you are essentially turning down the volume on your natural appetites, so that the spiritual frequency of my spirit becomes louder and clearer to you. Some of you have been so full of the world, so stuffed with entertainment and distraction and food and noise, that there is simply no room left for me to speak. I am not saying that to condemn you. I am saying it because I love you, and I want you to hear me clearly. And sometimes the only way to clear the static from your soul is to fast and pray with focused intention. I want to give you a word that will act, but you have to be quiet enough, still enough, and hungry enough spiritually to receive it. And when you do receive it, it will not just be a nice feeling. It will be a specific, practical, life-changing direction that will move you forward in ways that will leave you amazed. So, do not skip the stillness. Do not rush past the quiet. That is where I live. That is where I speak. And that is where your breakthrough begins. Now I want to speak to you about something that has been quietly stealing your joy for a long time. It is sneaky. It dressed itself up to look normal, even acceptable in your culture. But it is a poison, and its name is comparison. I see you doing it. You are scrolling through your phone, and you are looking at someone else's life, their beautiful home, their happy family, their thriving business, their seemingly perfect body. And then you look at your own life, and a sigh escapes from somewhere deep inside you. A sigh that says, "Why not me? Why do they have what I do not have? Why does it seem? Am I doing something wrong? Have I missed something? Have I been left behind?" My child, I need you to hear this truth with every fiber of your being. Your path is unique because I wrote it specifically for you. I did not write their story for you. I did not design their timeline for your life. I did not prepare their destiny for your feet. I crafted your journey with your specific gifts, your specific purpose, your specific calling, and your specific glory in mind. And when you spend your precious energy staring at someone else's path, you take your eyes off the beautiful road I have prepared just for you. And that is exactly how people stumble into pits of bitterness, envy, and dissatisfaction. Not because their life is actually bad, but because they stopped seeing the goodness in their own life and started measuring themselves against someone else's highlight reel. Here is something important I want you to understand. What you see on a screen is not the whole story. You see the smiling photo, but you do not see the tears cried before it was taken. You see the announcement of success, but you do not see the years of silent struggle that came before it. You see the beautiful family picture, but you do not see the hard conversations and the battles fought behind closed doors. Every single person you are tempted to envy is fighting a war you know nothing about. And if you knew the full story, you might actually be grateful for your own life in ways you have never been before. I am calling you to celebrate the unique destiny I have crafted specifically for your life. There has never been anyone like you, not in all of human history, not in the billions of people who have walked this earth. You are one of a kind. Your combination of personality, gifts, experiences, and calling has never existed before and will never exist again. That is not accidental. That is intentional. I made you this way on purpose, for a purpose. And when you grasp that truth, comparison begins to lose its power over you. Why would you want to be anyone else when being fully, authentically you is the most powerful thing you could ever be? I want to invite you to the practice of gratitude, not as a nice habit or a positive thinking technique, but as a spiritual weapon. Gratitude is a shield that protects you from the poison of comparison. When you wake up in the morning and your first thought is, "Thank you for another day, for breath in my lungs, for the people who love me, for the roof over my head, for the grace that covers my mistakes," something shifts in the spiritual atmosphere around your life. The enemy cannot get a foothold in a grateful heart. Gratitude is the language of faith. It says, "I trust that you are good even when I cannot see the whole picture." And that trust releases my hand to move powerfully on your behalf. Now, before we go further, I want to pause and speak to those of you who feel led to. If this message has touched your heart today, if something you heard stirred something deep in your spirit, I want to invite you to consider becoming a partner in this work. When you do, you are sending light into dark places. You are helping to reach the person who is sitting alone at 2:0 inches the morning, drowning in hopelessness, who types a search into their phone and finds this message and has their life changed forever. You are a part of that miracle. Every seed you sow into this mission carries your name into eternity. So please do not scroll past that opportunity. It matters more than you know. And also, if you have not already done so, there is more coming. And I believe each one has something specifically prepared for where you are in your journey. My dear child, now that we have laid this foundation together, I want to take you even deeper, because what I am about to share is where many people never go. They live on the surface of their faith. They know my name, but they do not know my heart. They attend the services. They say the prayers, they check the religious boxes, and yet they go home still feeling empty. Today I am going to help you shatter that glass wall. I am going to take you into the deep waters where the real treasures of my kingdom are found. Are you ready? Because what I am about to speak over your life is going to require your full attention, your open heart, and your willingness to let go of some things you may have been holding on to very tightly. Let us begin with something that I see happening in the hearts of so many of my children right now. It is a silent war that is being fought in the small, everyday moments of life, and most people do not even realize it is happening. It is the battle for your attention. Every single day you wake up, there are 1,000 different things competing for the limited resource of your focus. Your phone, your worries, your to-do list, the news, the demands of other people, the regrets of yesterday, the fears of tomorrow. And somewhere in the middle of all that noise, my voice, though always present, often gets lost. Not because I stopped speaking, but because the competition for your attention has become so fierce, so relentless, and so sophisticated that hearing me requires a deliberate, intentional daily decision that most people are not making. I want to teach you something today about the discipline of focused attention. Because in my kingdom, attention is currency. Where you place your attention is where your energy flows. Where your energy flows is where your life grows. If you are consistently giving your best attention to your problems will grow. If you are consistently giving your best attention to the opinions of others, their opinions will have more power in your life than my word. But if you train yourself to give me your first and your best attention, something extraordinary begins to happen. My perspective starts to become your perspective. My peace starts to replace your anxiety. My strength starts to show up where your weakness used to live. And your life begins to look less like fear and more like faith. This is why the morning matters so much. The first hour of your day sets the spiritual temperature for everything that follows. Think about it. A small adjustment at the beginning of the journey creates a massive difference in where you end up by the end of it. When you start your morning in my presence, in my word, in prayer, in stillness and gratitude, you are setting the rudder of your day in the right direction. And even when the storms come later, and they will come, you will find that you navigate them with a steadiness and a grace that surprises even yourself. But when you start your morning in the chaos, scrolling through bad news and anxious notifications before you have even put your feet on the floor, you have already handed the rudder to the wrong hands. And then you spend the rest of the day wondering why everything feels out of control. So, I am making a very specific invitation to you right now. Starting tomorrow morning, before you look at any screen, before you check any message, before you let the world in with all of its demands and its noise, give me the first 10 minutes. Just 10 minutes. Sit with me. Talk to me. Read one psalm or one chapter of my word. Let the first voice you hear be mine. Let the first thought you cultivate be one of gratitude and trust. I promise you that this one small discipline, practiced consistently over weeks and months, will produce a transformation in your inner life that will astonish you. Things that used to steal your peace will lose their power. Fears that used to feel overwhelming will begin to shrink. And a confidence and a clarity will begin to grow in you that cannot be explained by circumstances, because it does not come from circumstances. It comes from me. Now, I want to take you into a conversation about something that I consider one of the greatest untapped powers available to my children, and that is the power of intercession, prayer for others. I see how most people pray. They come to me with a list of what they need, what they want, what they are afraid of, what they are asking me to fix, and that is okay. I invite that. I want you to bring me your needs. But I want to show you a dimension of prayer that goes far beyond asking for yourself, and that is standing in the gap for others. When you pray for someone else, when you bring another person before me with a heart of genuine love and concern, something remarkable happens in the spirit realm. You become a bridge. You become a conduit of my grace between heaven and a person who may not even know how to pray for themselves. You become a warrior standing on the wall, holding a line that someone else cannot hold right now. And in doing so, you are not just blessing them. You are transforming yourself. Because it is impossible to genuinely intercede for another person without your own heart being softened, without your perspective being enlarged, without your love becoming deeper and more mature. Think about the people in your life who are far from me right now. The family member who seems unreachable, the friend who has walked away from their faith, the coworker who is drowning and does not know it. The stranger you passed on the street whose eyes carried a sadness that stayed with you for the rest of the day. I see every one of them. I love every one of them, and I am looking for someone who will stand in the gap between my love and their current reality. Will you be that person? Will you add their names to your daily prayer, not as a religious obligation, but as a genuine act of love, because your prayers matter more than you know. They move mountains you cannot see. They shift atmospheres in ways you will not fully understand until eternity, but they are real, they are powerful, and they are needed. I also want to speak to you today about the subject of dreams. Not just the dreams you have while sleeping, though I do speak in those too, but the deep, persistent, specific dreams that live in your heart, the ones that have been there for years, maybe since you were a child, the ones that light you up when you allow yourself to think about them. The ones that you have tried to bury under the weight of practicality and responsibility and other people's expectations, but that refuse to stay buried because I put them there, and I do not take back my gifts. I see the dream you had that you told yourself was too big. I see the vision you had that you convinced yourself was not realistic. I see the calling on your life that felt so enormous that you decided it must have been meant for someone else, someone more qualified, more educated, more connected, more talented. And I want to say to you directly and clearly today, you were not wrong about the dream. You were wrong about your role in it. That dream is real. That vision is from me. That calling is yours. And the reason it felt too big for you is because it is too big for you. It was never meant to be carried in your own strength. It was meant to be carried in partnership with me, where your availability and my ability combined to produce something that neither of us would do alone. I want you to take the dream back out. The one you packed away, the one you decided was too risky or too late or too far-fetched. I want you to hold it in your hands again and look at it through my eyes instead of through the eyes of your limitations. Because through my eyes, that dream is not too big. It is not too late. It is not impossible. It is simply waiting for the one thing it has been missing all along. Your yes, your willing, trusting, faith-filled yes. Now, let me speak to you about the subject of waiting, because I know this is where many of you are, and it is one of the hardest places to be. You have been waiting for a long time, waiting for the prayer to be answered, waiting for the door to open, waiting for the promise to come to pass, waiting for the situation to change. And the waiting has been long enough that you have started to wonder if you heard me correctly. You have started to wonder if I forgot. You have started to wonder if the promise was real or if you imagined it. And the enemy has been right there beside you in the waiting, whispering his poisonous questions. Did God really say? Is he really going to come through? Maybe you missed it. Maybe it is too late. Maybe you should just give up and accept that this is how your life is going to be. I need you to hear me on this. I have not forgotten. I do not forget. I cannot forget. My promises are not subject to time the way your experience is. From where I am, the answer is already prepared. The provision is already stored. The door is already unlocked. The breakthrough is already written into your story. The only question is the timing of its appearance in your physical reality, and that timing is governed by factors that are not always visible to you. Sometimes the waiting is not punishment. Sometimes the waiting is preparation. Sometimes what feels like delay is actually protection. I am working in the waiting. I am building something in you during the waiting that could not be built any other way. The patience, the depth of trust, the unshakable faith that does not depend on what you can see, these are not developed in easy seasons. They are forged in the furnace of sustained hope. So I am asking you to hold on, not because I am making you suffer unnecessarily, but because what I am building in you in this season is going to be the very thing that qualifies you to carry what I am bringing you in the next season. The answer is coming. The promise is real. Hold on. Now I want to speak to you about something that is very close to my heart. It is the subject of how you treat your own body, the physical temple I have given you. I see how many of my children are so focused on their spiritual life that they neglect the physical house their spirit lives in. And I see others who are so focused on the physical that they neglect the spirit entirely. I want you to understand that I care about both. I made both, and I designed them to work together in beautiful harmony. Your body is not a cage for your spirit. It is not something shameful or unimportant or purely temporary. It is a gift. It is a vessel that I specifically designed to house my spirit while you walk this earth. And how you steward that vessel matters to me. I see the sleep you are sacrificing. I see the food you are putting into your body without thought. I see the sedentary patterns that are stealing your energy and your vitality. I see the stress you are carrying in your physical body because you have not yet learned to cast your cares upon me. And I want to speak to all of that with compassion, not condemnation. I am inviting you to see the care of your body as a spiritual act. When you choose rest over pushing past your limits, you are honoring the design I built into you. When you choose nourishing food, not perfectly, not rigidly, but generally and intentionally, you are stewarding the gift of physical health I have given you. When you move your body, when you get outside, when you breathe fresh air and let sunlight touch your face, you are not just doing something nice for yourself. You are participating in the renewal of the physical temple that carries my presence in the world. That matters. Take care of yourself, not out of vanity or fear or the world's obsession with appearance, but out of gratitude for the gift of this body and out of the desire to have the energy and the health to fulfill the calling on your life. For as long as I have you here, let me also speak to you now about the power of praise in the darkest moments. Because anyone can praise me when life is good. Anyone can worship when the blessing is visible and the path is clear and the prayer has been answered. That kind of praise is wonderful, and I receive it joyfully. But the praise that shakes the foundations of heaven, the praise that confuses and defeats the enemy, the praise that releases the most powerful moves of my spirit in your life, that is the praise that rises from a place of pain. The praise that says, I do not understand this. I cannot see how this is going to work out, but I still believe you are good. I still trust your heart. I still choose to worship you in this darkness. Think about Paul and Silas in the prison, beaten, bleeding, shackled in the deepest part of the jail at midnight. And they began to sing, not because they felt like it, not because the circumstances were good, but because they had learned the secret of weaponized praise. And at midnight, when they were singing praises, there was an earthquake. The foundations shook, the chains fell off, the doors flew open, not just their doors, every prisoner's door. That is what midnight praise does. It is the spiritual equivalent of flipping a switch in the spirit realm. It declares that your trust is not in your circumstances, it is in me. And that declaration carries a power that no enemy can withstand. So the next time you are in a midnight season, the next time the pain is real and the darkness is thick and the praise does not feel natural, I want you to try something. Start small. Just whisper, thank you. Thank you for my breath. Thank you that I am still here. Thank you that you have never left me. And let those small thank yous become the beginning of something that grows, because I inhabit the praises of my people. When you praise, I show up. And when I show up, everything changes. I also want to speak to you today about the subject of generosity, because one of the most powerful principles in my kingdom is this. The way you hold on to what you have determines how much more I can trust you with. I see the scarcity mindset that so many of my children operate from, the tight grip on resources, the fear of not having enough, the reluctance to give freely because, what if I need this later? And I understand where that comes from. For many of you, the fear of lack is rooted in real experiences of genuine need. You went without, you struggled, you learned early that resources could run out and that no one was going to rescue you. And that lesson, though painful, created a protective instinct in you that made sense at the time. But I want to invite you into a completely different paradigm. The kingdom economy does not work like the world. In the world, you give something and you have less. In my kingdom, you give something, and the act of giving itself opens a channel of supernatural supply that brings more back to you than you released. This is not just a nice spiritual concept. It is a law of my kingdom, as reliable and as consistent as gravity. Give, and it will be given unto you, pressed down, shaken together, running over, poured into your lap. That is not a possibility. That is a promise. Now, I am not talking about the manipulative prosperity gospel that treats me like a vending machine. I am talking about something much deeper and much more beautiful. I am talking about a lifestyle of generosity that flows not from obligation or calculation, but from a heart that is so secure in my provision that it can give freely without fear. A heart that knows that everything it has came from me, and therefore holding on to it too tightly is not wisdom but faithlessness. A heart that has experienced enough of my faithfulness to know that when you let go and trust, I always catch what falls. Start where you are, give what you have, even if it feels small, even if it feels insignificant. The widow who gave 2 small coins gave everything she had, and I honored her more than the wealthy who gave their excess. It is not the size of the gift that moves my heart, it is the faith and the love behind it. Cultivate a generous heart. Look for opportunities to give of your time, of your attention, of your encouragement, of your resources, of your gifts, of your presence. Because every act of genuine generosity is a seed planted in eternal soil, and the harvest from that seed will outlast your time on this earth. Now, my child, I want to speak to you about something that I believe is one of the most undervalued and overlooked spiritual practices among my people today, and that is the practice of silence and solitude. Not the silence of isolation that I spoke about earlier, the kind that is born of fear and walls and withdrawal, but the intentional, chosen silence that is a gift you give yourself and a space you create for me to speak. We live in a world that is terrified of silence. The moment there is a quiet second, someone reaches for their phone, turns on a podcast, starts a conversation, fills the space with something, anything, rather than sit with the quiet. And I understand why silence can feel uncomfortable. In the silence, things come up, feelings you have been avoiding, questions you have not wanted to face, the voice of the Holy Spirit asking you things you are not sure you want to answer. The silence strips away all the noise that has been covering the state of your inner world and shows you what is actually there, but that is exactly why it is so valuable. You cannot truly know the condition of your heart while it is surrounded by noise. You cannot hear my whisper while 1,000 other voices are shouting. You cannot find the clarity you are longing for while the static of constant stimulation is filling every available space in your mind and your heart. The silence is where I meet you most deeply. The silence is where the healing happens that cannot happen in the busy, noisy, active parts of your day. The silence is where I speak the things too tender and too personal and too specific for a crowd. Those things are for you alone, and they are waiting for you in the quiet. So I am giving you a challenge. Find 15 minutes today, just 15, where you sit in complete silence. No phone, no music, no podcast, no television. Just you and me and the quiet. And in that quiet, do not fill it with a list of prayer requests. Just be present, just breathe, just let me be with you. You might feel uncomfortable at first, that is okay. Stay in it. Because on the other side of the discomfort is a depth of communion with me that will make you wonder how you ever went so long without it. I also want to speak to you today about the area of your thought life, because what you think about consistently, you eventually become. Your thoughts are not just passive observations. They are active forces that shape your beliefs, your expectations, your decisions, and ultimately your reality. The battleground of your mind is the most important strategic territory in your life, and the enemy knows it. That is why he works so hard to plant seeds of fear, of shame, of inadequacy, of hopelessness, of resentment in your mind. He knows that if those seeds take root and grow, they will eventually produce a harvest of destruction in your life, without him having to do very much more. But here's the good news. You are not powerless over your thoughts. You have the ability and the authority to take every thought captive to the obedience of my word. That does not mean you will never have a negative thought. It means that when a negative thought arrives, you do not have to give it a seat and serve it dinner. You can recognize it for what it is, reject it, and replace it with what I say. This takes practice. It is a skill that develops over time, but it is one of the most powerful skills you can cultivate, because the person who masters their thought life masters their emotional life, and the person who masters their emotional life walks in a freedom and a peace that is genuinely extraordinary. Let me give you a practical tool for this. Every time a dark or defeating thought comes, ask yourself one simple question. Is this thought consistent with what my Father says about me and about my situation? If the answer is no, do not argue with the thought. Do not analyze it. Do not try to figure out where it came from. Just replace it. Find the verse, the promise, the truth in my word that contradicts the lie, and declare it out loud. If you can speak it with faith, even if it feels hollow at first, because faith comes by hearing. And when you hear my words spoken from your own mouth repeatedly, something begins to shift. The lie loses its grip. The truth takes root. And your thought life begins to align with my perspective in a way that changes everything that flows from it. Now, let me speak to you about something that I see creating tremendous suffering in the lives of my children, and that is the inability to accept uncertainty. To be human is to live with a significant amount of uncertainty. You do not know what tomorrow holds. You do not know how the situation is going to resolve. You do not know if the relationship will work out, if the health will be restored, if the finances will turn around, if the prodigal will come home. And that not knowing can be absolutely agonizing for a heart that craves security and predictability. But here is what I want you to understand. The uncertainty of your future is not a design flaw. It is a divine invitation. It is the space where faith lives. If you could see everything clearly, if you had a guaranteed script of how every situation was going to unfold, you would not need faith. You would not need to trust me. You would not need to rely on my guidance or my strength or my wisdom. You could just manage your life on your own information and your own resources. But that would cut you off from the deepest and most beautiful dimension of our relationship, which is the place where you do not know and I do, and you trust me anyway. I am not withholding clarity from you to be cruel. I am inviting you to the adventure of faith. Every step you take when you cannot see the full staircase, every decision you make based on trust rather than total certainty, every moment you choose to rest in my sovereignty rather than spinning in anxiety about the unknown, that is, faith in action. And that faith is precious to me. It is more precious than gold, and it is building something in you, a depth of relationship with me, a kind of knowing that cannot be gained any other way. So lean into the uncertainty. Let it be the invitation it is, and trust that the one who holds the future holds you even more securely. And now, my precious child, let me speak one final thought into this additional section before we bring everything together. It is about legacy, about what you are leaving behind. Not just in terms of what you accumulate or achieve, though those things have their place, but in terms of who you are becoming and the people whose lives are permanently shaped for the better because you were in them. Because at the end of the day, at the end of your life, the things that will matter most are not the things you owned, or the places you visited, or the titles you held. They will be the moments of genuine love you gave. The times you stayed when it would have been easier to leave. The times you spoke truth when silence would have been more comfortable. The times you showed up for someone in their darkest hour and helped them find the light. The lives that carry a piece of you in them because you were faithful, because you were kind, because you were real, because you let my love flow through you without holding any of it back. I am calling you to live with the end in mind, not in a morbid way, but in a clarifying way. When you keep eternity in view, the trivial things fall away, and the things that truly matter come into sharp focus. The petty argument suddenly is not worth having. The grudge suddenly is not worth carrying. The fear of what people think suddenly is not worth living with. And the opportunity to love, to give, to serve, to speak life, to point someone toward me, that suddenly becomes the most important thing in any given moment. You have one life, one beautiful, unrepeatable, specific, purposeful life that I designed just for you. Do not spend it trying to live someone else's. Do not waste it in the fog of confusion and the prison of comparison and the cage of other people's approval. Live it fully, freely, faithfully, in partnership with me, the one who created you, loves you, and is with you every single step of the way. This is your moment, my child. This is your season. The fog is lifting, the chains are breaking, the doors are opening, and the best chapters of your story are still ahead. Walk into them with your head held high, your heart wide open, and your hand in mine. I am not letting go, not now, not ever. And together, there is nothing we cannot face, nothing we cannot overcome, and nothing we cannot accomplish for the glory of my name and the good of this beautiful, broken world that I love so deeply and that needs you so desperately. Rise up. It is time. Now let us talk about something absolutely critical, your spiritual armor. My child, the battle you are in is real. I need you to understand that clearly and completely. This is not a metaphor. This is not an exaggeration. There is a very real spiritual war happening around your life every single day, and the enemy is not playing games. He is strategic, he is relentless, and he is targeting you specifically because he knows the calling on your life, and he is terrified of what you will become if you ever fully step into it. But here is the thing. He cannot touch you when you are properly covered. The problem is that most of my children walk through their days completely unprotected. They wonder why the fiery darts of the enemy keep finding their mark. They wonder why fear keeps creeping into their thoughts, why anxiety keeps stealing their peace, why discouragement keeps knocking them down. And the answer is simple: they have not put on their armor. So let me walk you through it piece by piece in the simplest, most practical way I can. The first piece of armor is the belt of truth. In a world that is absolutely drowning in lies, half-truths, and manipulated information, my word is the only thing that will hold your life together. Think of it. The belt on a soldier holds everything else in place. Without it, everything falls apart. Without my truth as the foundation of your thinking and your decision-making, your whole life becomes unstable. You will be tossed around by every new idea, every trending opinion, every voice that shouts the loudest. But when you are anchored in what I say, you cannot be moved. You know who you are, you know whose you are, and you know what is true, even when the whole world tries to tell you otherwise. The second piece is the breastplate of righteousness. This is your heart protection. The enemy loves to attack your heart with guilt, with shame, with condemnation. He wants you to feel so unworthy and so dirty that you stop coming to me, stop praying, stop believing that I could possibly use someone like you. But the breastplate of righteousness says that your right standing with me is not based on your performance. It is based on what my Son did for you. When you accepted him, you were clothed in his righteousness. The enemy has no case against you. You are clean. You are forgiven. You are worthy, not because of what you have done, but because of what has been done for you. Wear that breastplate every single day, and do not let the accuser make you forget it. The third piece is the shoes of peace. Your feet need to be fitted with the readiness that comes from the gospel of peace. This means two things. First, you are ready to move whenever and wherever I call you. You are not stagnant, not stuck, not paralyzed by fear. You are mobile, flexible, and responsive to my leading. And second, everywhere your feet go, you carry peace with you. You are not supposed to absorb the atmosphere of every room you walk into. You are supposed to change it. When you walk into a tense situation, peace walks in with you. When you enter a room full of anxiety and fear, my presence that lives in you begins to shift the atmosphere. That is powerful. That is your calling. The fourth piece is the shield of faith. This is the one I really want you to grab hold of today. The shield of faith is not just believing that I exist. It is the firm, unshakable, immovable stance that says, no matter what I see, no matter what I feel, no matter what the doctors say, or the bank account shows, or the circumstances scream, I believe God. I believe His promises are true. I believe He is working even when I cannot see it. I believe the breakthrough is coming even when everything looks impossible. Every fiery dart of fear, of doubt, of discouragement, of hopelessness that the enemy fires at you is extinguished by this shield. But you have to pick it up. You have to actively choose faith every single day. It does not happen automatically. It is a daily decision. The fifth piece is the helmet of salvation. This goes on your head because your mind is a primary battlefield. The enemy knows that if he can control your thoughts, he can control your life. So he works overtime to fill your mind with worry, with negative imaginations, with worst-case scenarios, with memories of past failures, with fears about the future. The helmet of salvation protects your mind by reminding you of who you are in me. You are saved. You are secure. You are a child of the Most High God. Your mind is my territory, and the enemy has no right to set up camp there. When a dark thought comes, you do not have to entertain it. You have the authority to take it captive and replace it with my truth. And the sixth piece, the sword of the Spirit, which is my word. This is the only offensive weapon in the armor. Everything else is defensive, but the sword fights back. When the enemy attacks, you do not just block, you fight. And the way you fight is with my words, spoken out of your mouth, with faith and authority. This is why knowing Scripture is so important. Not just knowing it in your head, but having it so deep in your heart that when the pressure comes, it rises up out of you naturally. Jesus himself, when he was tempted in the wilderness, did not argue with the enemy or try to reason with him. He simply said, "It is written," and quoted Scripture. And every time the enemy had to back down, that same weapon is in your hands. Use it. Now, I want to have a very honest conversation with you about the idols in your life. I know that word sounds ancient and strange to you. When you hear the word idol, you probably picture some dusty stone statue in a museum somewhere. But idols in your world look very different, and they are just as dangerous. An idol is simply anything that takes my place in your life as your primary source of comfort, identity, security, or satisfaction. Let me ask you some questions. What is the first thing you reach for in the morning? Is it your phone, or is it me? When you are stressed and anxious, and you just need something to make you feel better, what do you turn to? Is it food or alcohol, or binge-watching shows, or endless scrolling, or is it my presence? When you need to know your worth, where do you look? Do you look at your bank balance, your follower count, your job title, your appearance, or do you look at what I say about you? Because wherever you go for those things, that is your true God. And I want you to examine your heart honestly today without guilt or condemnation, simply with the desire to be free. I see the way many of you have made your phones into digital altars. You wake up, and before you have even said good morning to me, you have already given the first fruits of your day to a glowing screen. You sacrifice your peace on the altar of social media. You give your time, your energy, your emotional stability, your self-worth, all of it to something that cannot give you back anything real. It takes and leaves you feeling more empty than before. That is the nature of an idol. It always promises more than it can deliver, and it always demands more than you intended to give. And I want you to understand why I address this so directly. It is not because I am jealous in a petty, insecure way. It is because I am a good father who sees exactly where these idols lead. I see the dead end. I see the emptiness. I see the heartbreak that is coming when these things eventually fail you. And they will. They always do. Everything in this world has a shelf life. Every platform will change its algorithm. Every bank account is subject to the economy. Every human relationship can disappoint you. Every achievement eventually feels hollow. But I never change. My love never fades. My goodness never runs out. And my presence is the only thing that can truly satisfy the hunger in your soul. So I am inviting you today to tear down the high places in your life and rebuild your altar to me. This does not mean you throw away your phone or quit your job or stop caring about your relationships. It means you put things back in their proper order. I go first always. In the morning, in the decisions, in the priorities, in the desires of your heart. When I am first, everything else finds its right place. When I am first, your phone becomes a tool instead of a master. Your career becomes a calling instead of an identity. Your relationships become a gift instead of a god. Let me talk to you now about obedience, because this is where so many people miss the door to their blessing. I see you doing what I would call partial obedience. You follow me when it is convenient, when it lines up with your plans, when you can see how it will work out. But when I ask you to do something that does not make sense to your natural mind, when I ask you to step out before you see the whole staircase, when I ask you to let go of something you love that is holding you back, suddenly you want to negotiate. You want to modify my instructions. You want to find a middle ground where you can sort of obey me, but still keep your options open. But my child, I need you to understand this clearly. Partial obedience is not obedience. It is disobedience with a religious costume on, and it will keep you going in circles. Think about it this way. If a doctor tells you to take a medicine every single day for it to work, and you only take it when you feel like it, you do not get to blame the medicine when you stay sick. The medicine is perfect. The problem is the inconsistency of your commitment to following the instructions. That is exactly what happens with my commands. They are perfect. They are designed to lead you to the best possible outcome, but they only work when you follow them fully. Not partially, not occasionally, but completely and wholeheartedly. I know that full obedience can feel frightening, because full obedience means letting go of control. It means trusting someone other than yourself with the wheel of your life. And for people who have been hurt before, who have been let down before, who have given their trust and had it broken, that is genuinely difficult. I understand that. I see the history that has made you cautious. I see the pain that has made you want to keep one hand on the steering wheel, just in case. But I am not going to take your trust and misuse it. I am the safest place in the universe for your heart, your future, and your dreams. So I am asking you today to practice saying yes before you know the why. When I prompt you to reach out to someone, do it without waiting until you understand the reason. When I tell you to let go of a habit or a relationship or an opportunity that is not from me, let it go before you can fully explain it to yourself. When I ask you to give, to serve, to speak, to move, say yes first, and trust that the understanding will come as you walk in obedience, because that is how faith works. Faith is not understanding and then trusting. Faith is trusting and then understanding. The revelation comes after the obedience, not before it. Now I want to speak to you very seriously about your words, because your mouth is one of the most powerful instruments in your life, and I see so many of my children using it wrongly. You were created in my image, and I am a God who speaks things into existence. When I speak, things happen. Worlds are formed. Light appears in darkness. Dead things come back to life. And you carry that same creative power in a measure within your tongue. This is not just a motivational idea. This is a spiritual reality. When you speak words of defeat, of hopelessness, of fear, of lack, you are planting seeds in the soil of your future, and those seeds grow. When you wake up every morning and say things like, "I am always broke," or "My health is never going to get better," or "I am just not good enough," you are not just expressing how you feel. You are building a narrative, a spiritual architecture over your life that the enemy uses to keep you trapped. Your words have weight. They travel into the spirit realm, and they either build or they tear down. I am calling you today to become radically intentional about your speech. This does not mean you deny reality or pretend everything is perfect when it is not. It means that even in the middle of reality, you speak from my perspective rather than from the perspective of your circumstances. The difference is this: a person who speaks from circumstances says, "I am so sick, and I am getting worse." A person who speaks from my perspective says, "My body is going through something hard right now, but I believe in a God who heals, and I declare that healing over my body right now." The circumstances might be the same in that moment, but the spiritual trajectory is completely different. One is going down, one is going up. Start practicing this today. Every time you catch yourself about to speak a negative declaration over your life, stop, take a breath, and find something from my word to say instead. It might feel mechanical and forced at first. That is okay. Keep doing it, because over time your mouth will train your heart, and your heart will train your life, and your life will begin to reflect the words you have been faithful to speak. My precious child, I now want to address something that is perhaps the heaviest chain holding many of you back, and that is unforgiveness. I see the wounds. I want you to know that I am not minimizing what happened to you. I am not saying it was okay. I am not asking you to pretend it did not hurt. What happened to you may have been genuinely terrible, genuinely unjust, genuinely undeserved, and your pain in response to it is completely valid. I see every tear. I kept every one of them. I have not forgotten a single moment of your suffering. But I need to show you what unforgiveness is actually doing to you, because you deserve to know the truth. Unforgiveness is poisoning you while the other person keeps living. They go on with their lives. They sleep at night. They laugh with friends. They may not even think about you. And meanwhile, you are lying awake, replaying the scenes over and over, feeling the anger and the hurt fresh every single time, carrying the weight of something that happened years ago. That is not justice. That is a prison. And you built the walls yourself with every choice to hold on rather than let go. Unforgiveness also creates a legal opening in the spiritual realm for the enemy to harass your mind, and it blocks the flow of my blessings in your life. It clouds your ability to hear my voice. It poisons your relationships with people who had nothing to do with the original wound. It affects your health, your sleep, your peace, your joy. The person who hurt you may have started the fire, but unforgiveness is the thing that keeps throwing fuel on it. So I am asking you today to make a choice. Not a feeling, but a decision of your will. I am asking you to release the debt. Say their name in your heart right now, the person who hurt you, the one you think about when I say the word unforgiveness, and say these words: I choose to release this person. I am not doing this because what they did was right. I am doing this because I want to be free. I am handing the judgment over to you, God, because vengeance belongs to you, not to me. I close this door to the past, and I step into the new thing you are doing in my life. When you do that, something changes. Not necessarily in a dramatic fireworks kind of way, but quietly, deeply, in the foundation of your spirit. A door closes, and another one opens. The weight begins to lift. The crack in the wall is sealed, and the blessings that were backed up behind the dam of your bitterness begin to flow again. Forgiveness does not mean the relationship is automatically restored. It does not mean you trust that person again or give them access to your heart immediately. It simply means you have taken your hands off their throat so that I can put my healing hands on your heart. Now I want to talk about something that I see robbing so many of my children of their time, their energy, and their calling. It is spiritual laziness dressed up as busyness. Because here is the truth. You can be incredibly busy and completely unfruitful at the same time. You can fill every hour of your day with activity and still go to sleep at night with the nagging feeling that you did not do the thing that actually mattered. You can be exhausted from doing 1,000 things that are not the thing I called you to do. I gave you specific gifts, not random, not generic, not the same as everyone else. Specific gifts, specifically designed for a specific purpose, to be used in a specific way during the specific window of time you have on this earth. And I see so much of that giftedness lying dormant, unused, buried under the weight of distraction, procrastination, fear, and the exhausting pursuit of things that have no eternal weight. Think about the parable of the talents. The servant who was given 5 talents and used them to earn 5 more, I celebrated. The servant who was given 2 and doubled them, I celebrated. But the servant who took the 1 talent he was given and buried it in the ground because he was afraid, I was not pleased with that. Not because I am a harsh master, but because he had been given something precious, and he wasted it. He let fear and passivity steal the opportunity to multiply what he had been entrusted with. I am asking you today to dig up what you have buried. Maybe it is a gift for music, or writing, or teaching, or encouraging, or business, or creating, or leading. Maybe it is a dream that has been sitting in your heart for years that you have not acted on because you told yourself you were not ready, or not qualified, or not talented enough, or that the timing was not right. I am here to tell you that the enemy loves that story you have been telling yourself, because as long as you believe it, you will never start. And as long as you never start, your gifts will never become the blessing to the world that I designed them to be. I am not asking you to do everything perfectly. I am asking you to start. Take one small step today. Write the first paragraph. Make the first phone call. Sign up for the course. Have the conversation. Post the thing you have been afraid to post. Start the project you have been putting off, because I will meet you in your starting. I will give you what you need as you go, but I cannot multiply what you are not willing to use. Now, my child, I need to speak to you about the times we are living in, because the world is changing rapidly, and I see many of my children being caught off guard by the shifts happening around them. They are surprised when culture moves further from my truth. They are shocked when things the world used to know were wrong are now celebrated as good. They are confused by the political and economic and social upheavals that seem to be accelerating with every passing year. But none of this is a surprise to me. I told you about these times long before they arrived. The signs I placed in my word were never meant to frighten you. They were meant to prepare you. There is a huge difference between a person who is paralyzed by fear because they do not understand what is happening and a person who sees the same events with calm clarity because they have read my roadmap and they know exactly what season they are in. I want you to be the second person. This is not the time to hide. This is not the time to pull back, to blend in, to water down your faith so that you do not stand out. This is exactly the time to shine brightest. The darker the night, the more powerful even a small flame becomes. And I am not asking you to carry a small flame. I am calling you to be ablaze with my truth, my love, my power, and my presence in a world that is desperate for all 4 of those things. I also want to invite you back to the most important relationship in your entire life, your daily communion with me, because I see how the busyness has crept in and slowly pushed our time together to the margins of your day. You used to spend time with me in the morning, and it set the whole tone for your day. But lately that time has gotten shorter and shorter, or skipped altogether on the hard days. And you have noticed the difference. Your peace is thinner. Your patience is shorter. Your discernment is cloudier. Your faith feels smaller. That is what happens when you try to run on yesterday's anointing. You cannot store it up. You need it fresh every single day. I am the bread of life, and you need to eat every day. Not once a week at church, every single day. Morning by morning I am speaking. The question is whether you are showing up to hear it. If you do not start your day in my presence, you are walking onto the battlefield without your armor, without your strategy, without your strength, and you wonder why the day goes sideways so quickly. I am not asking for hours. I am asking for priority. 10 minutes with me at the start of your day, genuinely present, genuinely focused, genuinely hungry to hear my voice, is worth more than 10 hours of frantic activity done in your own strength. Come to me first. Let me speak to you. Let me strengthen you. Let me show you what is ahead and how to navigate it. And then go into your day not as someone scrambling to survive, but as someone sent by the King with a specific assignment and the full backing of heaven behind you. That is a completely different way to live. Now let us talk about the trap of living for other people's approval, because this one has become especially dangerous in the age of social media. I see how much power many of you have given to the opinions of people who do not even know you, people who have never invested in your life, people whose approval you would never seek if you met them face to face. And yet, a single comment, a single critique, a single unfollow can send you spiraling into self-doubt for days. The world's approval is the most unstable foundation you could ever build your identity on, because it changes constantly. What the world celebrates today, it mocks tomorrow. What earns applause in one season brings criticism in the next. If you build your sense of worth on the shifting sands of public opinion, you will spend your whole life anxious, exhausted, and never quite secure, because no matter how much approval you accumulate, it is never enough. There is always someone who does not approve. There is always a new standard to meet. There is always another level of performance required to maintain the validation you crave. I made you for something so much better than that. I made you to be rooted and established in my love, a love that does not change based on your performance, your appearance, your productivity, or your popularity. A love that was fully committed to you before you did anything to deserve it and will remain fully committed to you regardless of what you do or do not accomplish. When you are truly anchored in that love, the opinions of people lose their power to define you. You can receive criticism without being crushed by it. You can face rejection without being destroyed by it. You can stand out and be different and be misunderstood and still sleep peacefully at night, because you know the only opinion that will matter at the end of your life is mine, and mine is settled. You are loved. You are valued. You are exactly who I made you to be. My beloved, I want to talk to you now about rest. Real, deep, divine rest. Not just sleep, though sleep matters too, but the kind of soul-level rest that comes from truly trusting that I have everything under control. I see the spiritual fatigue that has settled over you. It is heavier than physical tiredness. It is the exhaustion that comes from carrying things that were never meant to be yours to carry. It is the weariness of trying to control outcomes you cannot control, of worrying about futures you cannot see, of fighting battles in your own strength that can only be won in mine. I said, "Come to me, all you who are weary and heavy-laden, and I will give you rest." That is not just a comforting verse for greeting cards. That is a genuine invitation and a genuine promise from me to you. I will give you rest. Not might, not maybe, if you are good enough, will. It is already prepared. It already has your name on it. You just have to come and receive it. Rest also means Sabbath. And I instituted Sabbath not because I needed a day off, but because I knew you would need one. I built your need for rest into your very design. You are not a machine. You are not meant to run at full capacity 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. When you ignore that design and push past your limits constantly, the consequences show up in your body, your mind, your relationships, and your spiritual sensitivity. Your creativity dries up. Your patience disappears. Your ability to hear me clearly diminishes. Taking rest is not weakness. It is wisdom. It is stewardship of the body and the mind I gave you. Now let us come to a very important part of this conversation, integrity. Because I am looking for people in this hour who will be the same in the dark as they are in the light. People whose private life and public life match. People who will not bend their values when the pressure is high, who will not compromise their convictions when compromise would make things easier, because compromise always starts small, a tiny concession here, a small bending of the truth there, a little gray area in the business dealing, a little silence when you should have spoken up. Each compromise seems so minor in the moment, but each one chips away at the foundation of your spiritual authority. Each one creates a tiny crack in the vessel, and the anointing leaks out through every crack. I see the specific areas in your life where the pressure to compromise has been highest lately. Maybe it is in your workplace, where the culture is pushing you toward practices that you know are not right. Maybe it is in your social circles, where going along with certain conversations or behaviors would make you more popular and pushback would cost you relationships. Maybe it is in your personal life, where there is a habit or a pattern that you know I have asked you to let go of, but the pull of it is strong, and the letting go feels costly. I want to tell you something that will shift your perspective on all of those situations. Every time you choose integrity over convenience, every time you choose my standards over the world's expectations, every time you say no to compromise, even when it costs you something, you are building authority in the spirit realm. You are demonstrating to the enemy that you cannot be bought, and you are demonstrating to me that I can trust you with more. The promotion I have for you, the platform, the influence, the resources, all of it requires a vessel that can be trusted. A vessel whose yes means yes, and whose no means no. Start building that vessel today, one integrity decision at a time. My child, I also want to speak to you about community because I never designed you to walk this road alone. I see the walls you have built around yourself, maybe after being hurt by people in the church, maybe after being betrayed by someone you trusted, maybe just after years of disappointment in human relationships. And I understand why the walls went up. They felt protective at the time. But what was meant to keep the pain out has also kept the blessing out, and it has left you isolated in a way that was never part of my design for you. I created the body of Christ to be a living, breathing, interdependent community where everyone brings something and everyone needs something. You are not the head and the feet and the hands all at once. You are one part, and the body needs you, and you need the body. There are people around you right now who have the word in season that you need to hear. There are people who have walked through exactly what you are going through and whose experience is a map for your journey. There are people whose prayers will create a breakthrough in your situation that your prayers alone have not yet produced. But you have to let people in. You have to risk community again. And now let me speak to the heaviness. To those of you who woke up this morning and the weight on your chest was so familiar, it felt normal, even though it is anything but. To those of you whose sadness has been your companion for so long that you cannot quite remember what it felt like before, I see you. I am not looking past you or rushing you. I am sitting right here in this moment with you. And I want you to know that this heaviness is not your destiny. It is a season, a painful, long, sometimes suffocating season, but a season nonetheless, and seasons change. I am offering you a trade today. Give me the heavy garment of grief and despair, and I will give you a garment of praise in its place. Not a fake happiness, not a performance of positivity that masks what is really going on inside, but a genuine, supernatural, deep-rooted joy that begins to grow when you choose to worship me in the middle of the darkness. When you lift your voice and say, God, I do not understand this season. Something shifts. Not always immediately, not always dramatically, but something shifts, and the roots of that joy go down deeper than any circumstances can reach. My precious one, we are coming toward the end of this journey together today, and I want to bring it all together for you. We have talked about finding clarity in the fog. We have talked about breaking free from comparison. We have talked about putting on your spiritual armor every single day. We have talked about tearing down the idols that have taken my place. We have talked about the power of full obedience, of your words, of forgiveness, of stewarding your gifts, of living with integrity, of building community, of resting in me, of finding your identity in my love rather than the world's approval. All of these things are connected. They are not separate topics. They are all pieces of one picture, the picture of a life fully surrendered to me, fully aligned with my purposes, fully equipped for the calling I have placed on you. And that life, the surrendered, aligned, equipped life, is the most powerful and the most beautiful thing I have ever seen. It is more powerful than talent. It is more beautiful than success. It is the life that changes history. It is the life that leaves a legacy. It is the life that echoes into eternity. I see the courage that is rising in your spirit as you have been listening today. I see the stirring in your heart, that deep inner knowing that says, yes, this is what I have been missing. This is what I have been hungry for. Do not let that stirring be just a feeling that fades when you close the video. Let it be the beginning of a new chapter. Let it be the moment you look back on someday and say, that was the day everything began to change. Take one specific step today, just one. Maybe it is setting your alarm 15 minutes earlier to spend time with me before the day begins. Maybe it is writing a name on a piece of paper and saying the words of forgiveness out loud for the first time. Maybe it is picking up your Bible and reading one chapter before you pick up your phone. Maybe it is having an honest conversation with yourself about the idols in your life and making a decision to put me back in first place. Whatever that one step is, I want you to take it today, not tomorrow, not when you feel more ready, today. Because today is the day I am moving. Today is the open window. Today is the moment of your turnaround. I am with you in every step. I am cheering you on. I am clearing the path ahead of you. I am sending angels before you to prepare the way. I am working in the unseen realm on your behalf, in ways that would take your breath away if you could see them. And I am so incredibly, deeply, unconditionally proud of you. Not for what you have accomplished, but for who you are. For the fact that you showed up today. For the fact that even in your weariness and your confusion and your pain, you kept seeking. You kept listening. You kept coming back to me. That matters more than you know. My dear child, we have walked a long road together today, and I want you to feel the weight of this final moment with me. Everything I have spoken over you today was not just words. It was water for a thirsty soul. It was medicine for an aching heart. It was light for someone who had been sitting in the dark for far too long. And I need you to know, before you close this video and step back into your world, that you are not the same person who pressed play at the beginning. Something has shifted in you today. A seed has been planted. A chain has been loosened. A door has been opened that the enemy cannot close. You are going to face tomorrow, and tomorrow is going to have its challenges, its noise, its pressures, its moments that test everything you heard today. And in those moments, I want you to remember this. I am not a voice that only speaks in videos. I am not a presence that lives only in church buildings or quiet devotional moments. I am with you in the traffic, and in the difficult meeting, and in the sleepless night, and in the grocery store, and in every ordinary, unremarkable, beautiful moment of your daily life. I am always with you, always speaking, always working, always loving. The story I am writing with your life is not finished, not even close. The chapters ahead are full of things you cannot yet imagine, breakthroughs you have not yet seen, joys you have not yet tasted, and a purpose so vast and so beautiful that if I showed it to you all at once, it would overwhelm you. So I am revealing it one faithful step at a time. And all I need from you is this. Keep walking with me. Keep trusting me even when you cannot see me. Keep speaking life even when everything looks dark. Keep forgiving even when it is hard. Keep showing up in the quiet place, even on the mornings when you do not feel like it. Keep being you, the real you, the one I made, the one I love, the one I chose before the foundation of the world. You are my child. You are my masterpiece. You are exactly who you were meant to be, right here, right now, in this season, in this life. And I love you with a love so deep and so wide and so fierce and so tender that no word in any human language can fully contain it. Go now, walk in my peace, live in my purpose, rest in my love, and know that no matter what tomorrow brings, I have already been there, and I have already made a way. I am with you always, even to the end of the age. Amen.